presents a Creative News production. The Christmas Experiment. Once upon a time, in a quiet village beneath the looming shadow of an ancient castle, a boy was born into poverty. His family, with little much more than hope in their bellies, saved what they could. And through the kindness of an unlikely benefactor, the boy was given a chance at a new life and a chance to study the stars. The years passed, and the boy became a man and a scientist of remarkable vision. Yet it was not in the heavens that his greatest discovery lay, but here, among the people of his local village. For when hardship came, they did not falter, but rose with happy faces to meet the challenges ahead. He had seen it many times. Each Christmas, the poor town struggled to make ends meet, let alone to buy their children presents. However, he became quick to put it out of his mind, knowing all too well the challenges he himself had faced whilst growing up. And only after graduating had he learned that the man who owned the great castle that had stood tall overlooking his village for centuries turned out to be his own father's estranged brother, who bequeathed all he owned to his nephew. To be continued. The Christmas Experiment. Part 2. The young boy, now a man, has found himself a victim of his own success. Stuck in his laboratory all day inside the castle, he'd work tirelessly into all hours of the night. Burning the candle at both ends, this went on for quite some years, until he found he'd become a middle-aged man who'd grown tired of the world and people, and especially children. That is, until the day he'd met a boy that reminded him of himself. A young, enterprising lad with focus and determination, and one more thing he hadn't seen nor even thought about for quite some time. Hope. You see, he had had something happen that you can guarantee all but a select few will fall victim to. Great success. As a scientist, he worked like a whirlwind. With flashes and bangs, his lab was always lively and absolutely buzzed with activity. He had seen wonderful things due to his research. Even other places and other worlds he explored from right there in his laboratory. But all of this success and his chosen field led him to feeling like he had nothing else to accomplish. And the work itself became dull and tiresome. He had already chased his best dreams and completed the work on his best theories, and slowly but surely, apathy and a sense of melancholy set in. That is, until that day, by random chance, he happened to meet that boy. Suddenly, after years of going through the motions, he remembered. He thought back again to the days of his youth, when the whole town, no matter the conditions, we're all able to set aside the woes of life and choose to remember what was real and what was important in life, each other. To be continued. Last time. A young boy grew up in the midst of a family quarrel between brothers. One whose focus and attitude on life grew increasingly logically rigid and without empathy, completely go-oriented. And the other, the type to wear his heart on his sleeve, shunning societal institutions and the things that made most people carry on day to day, waking up at the crack of dawn, like good little citizens. The boy had since become a man, working hard to graduate at the top of his class. His father, a Christian man who had gone home to be with the Lord a few years before, did not get to see him graduate. However, his uncle, not wanting to test the waters yet, chose to remain in the background, quietly celebrating his nephew's dedication and scholarly triumph. His mother passed away during the young man's birth, and it was said that the boy's father's grief is what led to the brothers never again seeing eye to eye, and eventually going their own separate ways. The boy, once he had grown into a young man, would often say that he felt as if fate had played some cruel trick on him when he was young, and that he didn't believe in all that religion stuff anymore, like he did when he was a kid, way back then. But as he got closer to Christmas, with his newfound enthusiasm, now gave way to a desire to search for the source of that feeling that continued to grow inside of his heart. That feeling he had experienced as a boy in his youth. But he was a man of science, and had been told by countless so-called experts that the pursuit of such things was silly and childish. He could barely believe what he was feeling. It was like a joy that surpassed all understanding, and then it hit him. A Bible verse shot through his mind. He'd remembered that Jesus said the exact same thing in the Bible as he had studied it when he was young. And with that, he was absolutely and positively reeling with wonder and amazement at the sheer possibilities, bringing even his other work into alignment in his mind. Now more than ever, he was positive he would never stop searching for what it was that made up the science of the Christmas spirit. Some found it odd that his uncle should give him the deed to the castle and castle village, and a portion of his inheritance before he even passed. But it all made sense when his uncle handed him a letter, written in his own mother's hand, before he himself had passed. A letter that explained that she knew she would likely not survive childbirth, and for him to never blame himself. You see, she had a rare condition, and had been made aware of the likelihood that she would not make it through, as well as the fact that his uncle would be entrusted with the letter until he was fully grown and had become a man. Not because he was more trustworthy than the boy's father, but that he was indeed the boy's real father the whole time. Oh, and there was one more thing. The people of the town all woke up to find a little present of their own waiting for them on Christmas morning. The deed to their homes. As it turns out, he decided to break with a tradition that had lasted centuries and give the people of the village a gift that will last them for years, feeling encouraged in his heart to provide the people a real Christmas miracle. The end. Sorry, I've been extremely tired as of late. After all, telling a story of the scope isn't easy, as you can imagine. However, I've also been plagued as of late what's very strange dreams, where I seem to be spirited away in my sleep to a great dark pyramid with all manner of organic and inorganic monsters. Anyway, have a Merry Christmas.